Hello there! I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to the Smallville Retrospective series. So, I originally planned on continuing this in November. If you remember correctly, some things got out of hand. My mom was supposed to have surgery, so I postponed it. And then she didn't have the surgery because of other things were going on. And then I just decided to keep on pre-recording for December, and now that's done. I originally just wanted to take a break for the rest of this month, except for maybe some other reviews that will come up, But I'm sitting here. I'm waking up, sitting here watching TV and whatever. And notification comes across for the newest episode of the Talkville podcast on YouTube. And I saw it was the season 3 finale, and I went, you know what? I should just go ahead. I should start reviewing these. I should just do it. So here we are, season 3. Oops. Episode 1. My forehead is out of frame now. Season 3, episode 1. Exile. Yes, and it is a part 1 of the 2-part opener, but I'm gonna rate it on this episode alone. This is good. I mean, this was really good. By the time this episode was done, I'm like, wow, they did really good with this episode. Apart from one thing that I've always criticized about this, but we'll get to it. This episode starts out with a bang, in my opinion, with one of the best songs from my generation, I should say. I was in high school when this came out. I remember we lived a few blocks from the high school, and they were having their parade. And this song was playing. It is Boys and Girls by Good Charlotte. Educated, with money, she's well-dressed, not funny. You know, that song that goes, girls don't like boys, girls like cars and money. That song. The whole opening of this is centered on that. You know, he's in Metropolis now. It's 3 months later, and I swear to God, I did not plan on this being 3 months later. I told you it was supposed to be in November, but now, I did the season 2 in September. Now, it's been 3 months. I didn't plan on it. It just happened. But the 3 months in between seasons. So, yeah. And I immediately showed my blankness. The only thing I really remembered was that Clark was going to be in Metropolis, because I knew how this started. So he's in Metropolis, and he's robbing banks and stuff, because he's influenced by the red kryptonite. And then he starts to feel different. He has that thing on his chest, and he runs to the phone booth, which is where we get our thumbnail, and he calls his parents, but he's not able to answer. And then credits, and the opening credits are the same credits from season 2. Nothing has changed. Literally shot for shot the same opening. No new shots, no nothing. It's the same. It's the same. Don't know why they chose that. Maybe they were just lazy. Maybe they'll talk about it on the pod. I don't know. I haven't watched any of the episodes from season 3 that they talk about, but yeah. And then we cut to a bank robbery. I think he actually robs a jewelry store. No, he buys it. It's a car, isn't it? It's a car. He buys this car. That's what it is. Okay. Did this got me? Is he's like, how much? He does rob a bank because then he has the money. And then he's like, how much for the car? And she's like, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. He's like, try me. And she tells him, and he buys it, but then he goes to the club with this girl, and then he hands the car to someone else, and I'm like, did he ever actually purchase that? He's like, let's take it for a test drive. They were still on a test drive, right? She just lets him do it? No, maybe it was later, I don't know. But you see, he's going by the name of Cal, right? And that's when this happens, when she points out the mark that he's like, it's a birthmark. He's like, don't touch. And then she runs off. They're like, oh, you come here every night with a different girl, the bartender says. And they always leave. Like, I'm just looking for the right one. We all know who that is. It's Lana. Sort of. So, then we get, like I said, then we get the opening credits. Then we catch up with everyone else's stuff. And we get Chloe and Lana having a conversation. And then they mention Lex Luthor's funeral. And I went, all right, because he died in a plane crash at the end of the last season. Forgot about that. The stuff with him in this episode are the worst part. I understand what they were trying to do, but they didn't need to. Like, it sets up Lex's arc later on in the season, but you know. Yeah. But Chloe goes to the caves to meet with Lionel, because if you remember correctly, like I did not, I forgot for a second. But this is what happens when you wait 3 months to review this, to watch these again. That he hired her to do a story, and now she's got this column in the Daily Planet, and he basically threatens to take the column away from her if she does not continue to provide him with information on Clark. But she gave out information that she knows. He's taken off. He's left. No situation. Then we later find out that Chloe knows where Clark is. Found him 2 months earlier. We find out from Chloe she's talking to Lana. But when the episode proceeds after the credits, I guess I forgot to mention this. Bank robbery with guys wearing clown masks. And nowadays, you could say maybe Payday took the game. The Payday games took information from this. You wear a clown mask, but who knows? But Clark thwarts the bank robbery only to then take the money for himself. And the next morning, he wakes up. And they do this where in other shows, they would shoot at something and it'd be a dummy. Like these two thugs come in and start shooting at the bed. And in other shows and movies, it would be a dummy. And the guy would jump from behind and knock him down. But no, Clark is laying there because he's invincible. And he jumps up and grabs the two. And we're introduced to Morgan Edge, played here by Rutger Hauer. And apparently, in a story told by Annette O'Toole in the previous season, was that he's a smoker. And so he was smoking on the barn set. And they were afraid that it was going to, all that hay and everything. You don't do that. You don't smoke in a barn. You just chimney away. But Rutger Hauer, great actor. He's great in The Hitcher. Recommend you watch that. And he's great here. It's just a shame that they only use him for 2 episodes and then change the actor to Patrick Bergen and say the character had facial reconstructive surgery. Again, part of the Lex's arc. Speaking of Lex, let's talk about what they did wrong. Okay, so we find out that Lex has woken up. He is on a desert island, or supposedly deserted island, with another guy named Lewis. Now, the guy's name being Lewis is a big clue to what's going on here. Excuse me. I didn't catch it till this watch through. His name starts with an L. It's later revealed that Lewis is a figment of Lex's imagination. The malaria is getting to him. That whole thing. Let's just go through his arc. As it cuts back and forth to him on this island with this Lewis. And Lewis keeps telling him, you gotta give up. It was your wife that set you up, and Lex doesn't like that. And you gotta give, Later Lex is eating mealworms, because yummy. And then he finds a necklace in the water that says LL. When he grabs it, a skeleton pops up. And then, if this ain't the big clue that what's going on, as Lewis pops up and goes, oh, you met my father. He's like, you killed your father? Had to. And then he starts to explain how his father was to him, and I went, that is verbatim the way that Lionel is to Lex. So clearly, this is supposed to be some sort of malaria-induced doppelganger of Lex's, but someone who is able to overcome his father's circumstances. This guy is better than him. He's smarter than him. He has hair, long flowing hair. He's played by Ryan Robbins, by the way. And by the way, you have any show set in Canada, produced by Canada. Ryan Reynolds is going to be in it. He's in this. He's in Sanctuary, which was produced by Canada and England. And he was in Stargate Atlantis. Remember the Janai? The man's been in a lot. Great actor. Sorry if I keep clearing my throat. I had a little flatmer or something. I don't know. Gotta keep clearing. Let me get a drink quick. There we go. So, we get to Lex's funeral, right? Well, no, I should round out Lex's arc. I'm gonna keep coming back to it. Eventually, he snaps and kills Lewis. Although it's revealed, and I do like this because he's like covered in blood on his face and everything, and it's revealed to him that he wasn't there. And you see this, you can see the blood on his face, and once he realizes what it is, he turns back. The camera focuses on Lex. Blood is no longer on his face. So it was all in his head, this malaria-induced thing. And this is how he gets off the island. Is these people saw his fire from? So they were on the sea and saw his fire. So yeah, we get Lex's funeral, and Lionel's there making some speech to act as if he cares about his son, which we do in later seasons find out he does. But at this point, Lionel hasn't reformed. Spoilers. So he's still devious Lionel, you know. And his characterization throughout this season in particular shows how evil of a person he really is. Or I should say was, but is here. And then Helen shows up. And you know what? Lionel may be a son of a bitch, but he's absolutely right. Helen only shows up to pose for the papers and the cameras and show that she cares. And then all of a sudden, like, especially since her first words to Lionel are, "Get out of my house." He's like, "It's not your house yet." You know, she clearly did it for the money. And then her thought process on this threat to Lionel doesn't really compute. Because he's like, he basically accuses her of murdering Lex. And she's like, "Well, I think it would be interesting. I think the police would find it interesting if they found out you hired me to spy on Lex." And I went, "You'd be in trouble too, because you spied on Lex, paid off by him. You'd both be in trouble if you admitted that." I'm sure she would put on some kind of sob, facade, but Emmanuel Vagier, which I've been pronouncing wrong the entire time, it's Vagier. Thank you to Michael Ironside. No, Michael Rosenbaum. I couldn't think of his name for Michael Rosenbaum for correcting that on his podcast, because he kept calling him, "What is he saying?" And I realized he was saying her name, Emmanuel Vagier. She's Canadian, so it's a French-Canadian name, apparently. A French name. I don't know. I want to talk about Tom Welling's performance here, though, because there are points when he is angry that it just sounds, and there's a scene that he starts out, like, I think it's when he's talking to Chloe, when Chloe goes to visit him, when he starts out this scene, it's a little hokey, but at the end of the scene, he has it. And it is like, he's a completely evil version of Clark that works. Another scene that works is when Clark goes back, because Chloe reveals that his parents are losing the farm. So he goes, we find him in the loft. And by the way, he's grown his hair out a little bit, so it's like feathered in the back, so that's like his evil look or something. I don't know. And we get this touching scene between Jonathan and Martha, and Clark is watching this because he's looking over pictures. And then he bumps into the box of stuff, and they come running up. "Clark!" And he's gone, and she's yelling out the window. He wouldn't hear you. He's gone. He's probably in Metropolis. And by the way, when Lana, like I said, Lana finds out from Chloe that she had known where Clark was for 2 months, so she goes to Metropolis to find him. And then when they're at the club, she calls Jonathan, and Jonathan says, "Tell us where you are and we'll come down there." Is it Metropolis up from like this show portrays that it's in Kansas, but in other shows and series, Metropolis is like states away from Smallville. It depends. It depends. But Jonathan says he's gonna go get him, but he's not strong enough to do that. So he goes to talk to Jor-El, and Jor-El basically says that this was a test. Steve Carlisle would follow his directions, but there's no harm in him coming back for now, and so he doesn't allow Jonathan to go get him. But Jonathan is not strong enough, of course, like we said. So he bestows powers upon Jonathan, as we find out when he confronts him. Morgan Edge has hired Clark, or Cal, to find something for him, some little box thing, and as he takes it out of the vault, that's when Jonathan shows up, and he throws Jonathan across the room into a wall, which creates a big hole. I mean, it is not a dent. It looks like a dent at first, but it's a hole. And I was like, oh, that set did not hold up. I don't think that was the way it was supposed to. Because you're not, even with super strength, you're not going to throw someone and make a hole like that. It doesn't go through the wall. If we went through the wall, then I'd have questions. But, no. Jonathan gets back up and he's like, I got some help from your biological father. I don't need him, and I don't need you. And then he's like, you're coming home with me. And they jump out the window. End of the episode. And by the end of this, I was like, oh, that was good. That was good. Pete's also in this episode for a couple minutes. For all I know, he's still waiting in the truck. Because he's like, he tells Pete earlier on, go wait in the truck and we'll go get him. And then we never see Pete again, so for all I know, he's waiting in the truck still. Also, Lana does explain that the corporate has taken over the talent, and they're not necessarily want to keep it going. There's a plot line, I guess. But this episode, I gotta give it the same as the last one, 4.5. Superman logos out of 5. This is good. It's not perfect. If they got rid of that Lex Luthor stuff, I understand you have to show us what happened to Lex, but here's the thing: it's Lex Luthor. We wouldn't be second guessing if we were at his funeral. Helen's up there sobbing, and all of a sudden, Lex comes walking up. It's Lex Luthor. The man can make a grand entrance any day of the week. And we wouldn't have to guess. He could then explain. I know show don't tell is a thing. We can explain, well, I was on an island for 3 months. And I was found by this ship. You know, because that little fire. I was suffering from malaria. I thought there was some other one on the island with me. Losing my mind, you know. I guess some people go, well, why didn't they show it to us? It's could only last this episode, but I don't know. I didn't particularly care for it. Ryan Robbins or not. Yeah. So there it is. First episode of season 3. 4.5 out of 5 for me. But yeah, this was a good return to form. Return to the series. Maybe it helped that I waited 3 months, because that's the required amount. But I would have sort of been like 1 month. But you know. So what are your thoughts on this episode? Leave a comment, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. Do this thing. Or not.